You come home after a long day at work or school, and all day you've been thinking about this exact moment. The second you walk through that door, drop your stuff, fire up the PC or console, and just escape. Get into something, finally play the game you've been meaning to try, maybe continue the one you left off last weekend. You sit down, open up your game library, and nothing? You just sit there, staring at the screen. Somehow, the excitement you had earlier fades into this weird sense of indecision. Too many options, too little time. You scroll a bit, open Steam, scroll again, maybe check Xbox Game Pass, see what's new. And before you know it, half an hour is gone, and you haven't clicked a single game. And what's funny is, it's not even about not having anything to play, it's the opposite. You've got too much. Steam is overflowing, your console backlog is stacked, and maybe Game Pass just dropped something new you should check out. Every title feels like it comes with its own voice whispering in your ear. Play me. You haven't touched me for a while. You paid money, and now what? I've been sitting here in your library for a couple years now. And now, instead of fun, you're feeling pressure. Suddenly this thing that's supposed to be relaxing starts feeling like decision with consequences. Because time's tight now, you're not a teenager anymore. You can't pull all-nighter without wrecking your next day. You've got maybe an hour, maybe two, if you're lucky. So that time needs to matter, right? You need to feel that it was worth spending your time on this game. And with that little clock ticking in the back of your head, picking a game becomes this weird heavy thing. And this whole thing, it's got a name. Choice paralysis. Sounds like one of those terms some fake psych guru came up with, but not really. This one been around for a while. And it fits. It's that weird sensation of being frozen, not because there's nothing to pick from, but because there's way too much. You're not starving in the desert, you're lost in a buffet. You're standing in front of 100 doors and every single one promises a good time, but you've got only so much time to give. See, this idea of too much choice actually being a bad thing, it's older than you'd think. Let me tell you a little story. It's a simple one, really, an old one. Yes, even older than floppy disks. So, there's this fox, clever little thing, and he's bragging, as foxes do, about how he's got 100 different ways to escape danger. You name it, he's got a plan. And there's the cat, and it has only one trick, climb a tree. And that's it, he doesn't have anything else, no fancy escape routes, just going up the tree. Now, one day, danger shows up. Hunters come stomping through the forest, loud, angry, and definitely not in the mood to play nice. The fox hears them and freezes. It's thinking to itself, alright, let me think, I could take a left tunnel or maybe I could burrow under the hill, or what about this hidden path behind the rocks? It's pacing, running calculations in his head, trying to decide which escape route is the best. And while it's stuck thinking, the cat's already gone like a blur up to the nearest tree, tail twitching in the wind. And while the fox is thinking, the dogs catch up to him. It's an old Aesop story, but I thought it might fit nicely here. The moral of the story? Sometimes it's just better to act than to think. Or in our terms, sometimes it's just better to press play, and it beats analyzing your entire game library for 30 minutes. Because that's the trap of choice paralysis. You think the abundance of options gives you freedom, but in reality, too many options can lock you up just as tight as having none. Now, at this point, my dear viewer, you might be questioning my sanity. Like, am I trying to squeeze out a video out of an old story? Fair enough. Let me tell you something much more related to real life. So, back in early 2000s, two researchers set up a little experiment in a fancy grocery store. They rolled out a table filled with jam. One day, they put out 24 flavors. It looked like a rainbow explosion, everything from strawberry to who knows what. The next day, just 6. Now, most people stopped when there were more jams. Makes sense, right? Big display, more colors, more choice. But here's the twist. When it came to actually buying a jar, almost no one did. Meanwhile, on a day where there was only 6 options, people didn't just stop. They bought. Way more. Same jam, same store, but totally different outcomes. Why would you ask? Because when you've only got 6 things in front of you, picking one feels simpler. But 24? Where do you even start? Can you even research those 24 options to have a good choice? What if I pick the wrong one? What if the mango chili would have changed my life, for example, or whatever? So instead of choosing, people just walk away, empty-handed. And yeah, that's the choice paralysis right there. Too many options doesn't help you decide, it just puts more pressure on that decision. And it's not just about jam or games or foxes, this happens everywhere. Ever tried picking something to watch on Netflix? You spend half an hour flipping through titles, trailers, genres, and then when you're tired you just give up and go scroll TikTok instead. Because you know, the more options we have, the more we expect from the one we finally pick. It has to be the best, it has to feel worth it. And if it's not, that disappointment hits even harder. Psychologist Barry Schwartz called it the paradox of choice. He even made a book about it. The idea is that while having some choice is good, having too much can actually make us feel worse. Less happy, less satisfied, and more likely to regret the choice we made, or worse, not make one at all. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom, there are ways out of it. So let's talk about how to break this loop, how to make picking your next game easier, lighter, and yeah, actually more enjoyable. And the first thing you need to do is lower the stakes, like seriously, you're not signing a mortgage. You're just picking something to play for an hour. And yet, we treat every game like we're about to commit to a 60-hour RPG marriage. Like we need to be in the mood, or have this perfect experience, or somehow unlock the optimal emotion to time ratio. Forget about that, fun doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to exist. So here's one trick, give yourself a tiny window to decide. Not a big ceremony, just 5 minutes. Open the launcher, set a mental timer, and whatever you feel like playing the most by the time it hits 0, you go with that. And it might take some training, but you need to be strict with yourself. No going back, no second guessing, just commit. It sounds silly, but deadline cuts through the noise. It tells your brain, hey, you don't need to find the best game, you just need to pick one. And that's the difference. Another thing that helps is curating your own now list. Not your full library, not every game you've ever bought, just like 5 games you're currently interested in, even a little. Stick them in a folder, pin them to your dashboard, whatever works. And when you sit down to play, you only look at those. This is your little bubble, your personal jam shelf, 6 flavors max. It doesn't mean you're ignoring everything else forever, it just means you're not letting the whole buffet ruin your dinner. And here's another one, and this one I like the most, replaying an old favorite. You know which one I would be talking about. Now, of course you need to be discovering new titles as well, but you know what's good with the games you already played? You absolutely do not need to play through it again, because you did. And you can use them just to have fun in the moment. As I was mentioning in some videos, you don't even need to try to complete it. You can just instead drive around, ride your horse, decorate a house, or whatever else that rocks your boat, since this game ain't running anywhere anymore. And you already know the controls, the story beats, the vibe, there is no pressure to learn new systems or sit through another 20-minute tutorial. Plus, weirdly enough, you'll often notice new things when you go back. Different choices, new perspectives, that boss fight you used to dread, maybe you just stomp it now. That story beat that didn't land before, maybe now it does. Replaying isn't just a fallback, it's a way to rediscover joy with zero friction. And sometimes that's what breaks the loop. You remind yourself what playing for fun actually feels like, and once that feeling's back, it gets easier to chase it again. And for me, what always works is following my heart rather than my logic. We often tend to treat gaming like a thing that we research and then do something about it. And look, that's how you burn out. But what if instead you just played what you're in the mood for? Like picking a movie or a snack, something silly, something moody, something short, something loud. It doesn't matter if everyone are talking about this remaster or this new game, or there is a new season in your multiplayer game. What matters is that you're playing something, you're engaging. And more often than not, when you let your mood lead the way, you'll actually end up spending more time with the game. Because you're not fighting yourself, you're not dragging your brain into a genre it's not vibing with. You're just following the feeling. And that's the difference between playing out of guilt or playing out of desire. And desire, that's what keeps us coming back. Choice paralysis feels like a modern curse. But it's not some unsolvable mystery. It's just our brains getting tangled up in too many good things at once. And the trick is to make a choice, any choice, and let yourself enjoy it without overthinking. Because in the end, freedom isn't about having every door open. It's about feeling good walking through one of them.